What's up YouTube, Adam here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you my full review of the HTC One Max. Now if you go back just a couple of weeks, I did my video on the top 5 smartphones of 2013 and I said if pushed to pick one over and above all others, which one would I pick? Well, it definitely would have been the HTC One. So I was very excited to see how this phone, the HTC One Max, its bigger brother, would get on during my full review. Now before we get started with that, just to let you know, this video is brought to you by buymobiles.net. For all of your smartphone and contract needs, check those guys out. I'll leave a link down in the video description. In addition to that, if you want to check out my top 5 smartphones of 2013, I'll leave a link down there in the video description to that video as well. Now into the full review, and first up let's take a look at the actual build quality and the design, and let's compare it to the HTC One. Now first up, on first impressions, you really do think that these two phones look identical, but as you look just that little bit closer, you realise that the HTC One Max is not designed or got quite the same build quality as the HTC One. All the way around the outside of the HTC One Max, you'll notice that there is a polycarbonate bezel. Now it's a very nice material, but it does take away from the actual premium feel of the original HTC One. Now in addition to that, when you actually look at the back of the phone, it doesn't actually feel quite as solid or quite as unibody as the HTC One did. Now the reason it feels, again, not quite so sturdy is that you actually can remove the back cover from the HTC One Max, whereas you couldn't on the HTC One. And underneath there we actually get access to the SIM card slot and also a new feature on the HTC One line, the micro SD card slot. Now in addition to this, on the back of the HTC One, we've also got a fingerprint scanner. Now this is definitely by no means as good as the one on the iPhone 5S. This is not like Touch ID where you simply place your finger on it and then remove it. You actually have to swipe your finger in a vertical motion up and down the sensor to get it to recognise your fingerprint. Now in addition to that, it's not quite so accurate as the one on the iPhone 5S either, usually sort of requiring somewhere in the region of at least 1 or 2 tries before you actually get access to the phone itself. Now in addition to that, on the back we've still got that ultra pixel camera, which I found to be very impressive on the HTC One, but lesser so for some reason on the HTC One Max. In the specifications they seem to be an identical camera, but in real life use they're actually not quite so similar, and the HTC One camera is definitely just a little bit better than the HTC One Max. So the One Max camera really did disappoint me, not in terms of the actual total result, because the results were still good, but just in the fact that it wasn't quite as good as its little sibling. Now as we come round onto the front of the HTC One Max, again we've got that fantastic wide angle front facing camera, 2.1 megapixels, capable of 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now again on the front we've got those absolutely incredible boom sound speakers, which every time you listen to impress more and more and always make you think, why doesn't every single smartphone manufacturer put the speakers in the same place? But anyway, onto the bigger detail of this phone, and that is the screen. Now this is still a fantastic screen, Super LCD3 with fantastic viewing angles and fantastic colour reproduction, but this time much bigger in the form of a 5.9 inch screen. Now although the screen looks absolutely fantastic and is still just as good as the HTC One, there is one negative, and that is the fact that because it's grown in size, the pixel density has reduced, meaning it's not quite so clear as the original HTC One, now with a pixel density of about 373 ppi. Now if we go beyond the screen and take a deeper dive into the actual hardware itself, this phone's got very nice specifications, not quite up there with things like the LG G2 or the Galaxy Note 3, but still very nice specifications indeed, with a Snapdragon 600 processor clocked at 1.7 GHz and also being quad core. Now we do get the Adreno 320 GPU, so it's got a fantastic GPU with the HTC One Max, and I've found performance in real life terms, forgetting the specifications, to be absolutely fantastic, and that is because generally it's got the HTC Sense 5.5 skin over the top of Android. A lot of the skins actually take away from the performance and the user experience of these phones, but in this case the HTC One and the HTC One Max Sense 5.5 I think is an absolutely fantastic skin. It really doesn't seem to depreciate in terms of performance, and I actually find the aesthetics to be very nice, along with some of the nice features as well, things like Zoe in the camera and also blink feed. Now, when you wrap this up with the actual specifications of the phone itself, for day-to-day tasks, for multimedia, actually for everything including gaming, this phone performs extremely well indeed and really doesn't stutter at any stage and just gives you fantastic performance right the way across any activity that you're going to use it for. Now onto battery life, and this comes with a huge 3300 milliamp hour battery, and even though it does have a bigger screen, it really does perform very well with that size battery, giving you all day use at kind of medium usage. If you really do obviously chuck a whole bunch of games and multimedia at it, then it does definitely seem to actually last maybe around sort of 3/4 of a day, or even at some cases around half a day. Now my final opinion of the HTC One Max, I've got to say I felt ever so slightly let down. I was expecting this to be an absolute duplicate of the original HTC One, but just in a bigger form factor, and that really wasn't the experience that I got. Although the performance and the user experience was still very good indeed, and I'd definitely still recommend this phone, the actual build quality, and I actually found the camera, like I say, to be just not quite as good as that impressed so much on the original HTC One. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. Please do hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you all in the next video. See ya.